A lot of people have been ignoring the harm that comes from cancel culture. Actually, there's even been this weird trend of up-to-date liberals saying that canceling doesn't even exist. I want to share with you the story of August Ames because it shows the very real consequences of cancel culture. In 2017, August Ames was a porn star. She was a conventional female star, meaning she did scenes with women and with straight men. But one day, she was asked to do a scene with a bisexual man. On December 3rd, 2017, she posted this tweet. Whichever performer is replacing me tomorrow for Erotica News, you're shooting with a guy who has shot gay porn, just to let you know. BS is all I can say. Do agents really not care about who they're representing? I do my homework for my body. That tweet upset a lot of people. She got a lot of nasty messages for that tweet calling her homophobic and bigoted, and accusing her of having outdated beliefs about AIDS. I wish I could show you them, but they've all been deleted. I can only show you this one. 2 days later, on December 5th, 2017, a pansexual porn star called Jackson Wheeler shared this tweet. August Ames, the world is awaiting your apology or for you to swallow a cyanide pill. Either or, we'll take it. Later that morning, August Ames was found dead by suicide. Anger is a great tool for moving society forward. Expressing anger in response to inappropriate behavior can be really powerful, but that's not what's happening here. This is not emotional discourse. This is someone who feels hurt and is lashing out, and who is actively trying to make August Ames feel bad. Not to open her mind, not to create some sort of societal mind shift, but literally just, how can I make this person feel awful about themselves? How can I make them beg for forgiveness? Cancel culture is always oppressed people reveling in how good it feels to be the oppressor, how good it feels to finally be in control. But being hurt, and even being in the right, doesn't give you the right to become the asshole of the situation. And what's so frustrating is so many toxic liberals genuinely don't see themselves as the asshole of the situation. Do you want to know what Jackson said in an interview just a month afterwards? All he wanted to do was bring awareness about stigmas against gay performers. I don't know. I didn't see him tweet any educational materials about AIDS. In an interview with Newsweek, he said, I don't support cyberbullying at all. I especially don't support cyberbullying to a point where someone would take their own damn life. It's so frustrating how hard it is to show liberals that, you know that lovely, tolerant person you say you are? That's not you. You can say you don't support cyberbullying, but if you cyberbully, then you support cyberbullying. And with the left in general, I'm pretty far left. I believe deeply in restorative justice. I even believe that murderers deserve therapy. I believe in the whole shebang. And I thought we all did. But somehow people have fooled themselves into thinking that they can believe in therapy for murderers and be sending death threats to people for tweets. I'm gonna add one last thought and then wrap up. When you become the villain, you lose the right to see yourself as the victim. That's something I wrote when I was trying to stop making excuses for people who are hurting me, and I think it's a good way to look at abusers in general. Ideally, we'd be able to see someone as a villain and a victim at the same time. But my point is, Judas doesn't get to look in the mirror and just see a misfit anymore. After a man cheats, he doesn't get to look in the mirror and just see an unsatisfied husband anymore. Similarly, when we see a hurt person sending death threats or calling for someone's suicide, we can and should try to understand where that hurt is coming from so we can solve the root issue. But we also need to start viewing that person as the villain. Jackson Wheeler has been the victim of a lot of cyberbullying, which really doesn't make sense to me. Imagine being sad August Ames was cyberbullied, and then you cyberbully. How does that make any sense? Please leave him alone. The sad thing is that there are so many stories like this one. Zero attempted suicide after he was canceled, Aquafina, ContraPoints, and so many others have been open about all the death threats and hostility that they've received. And did you know that 3 Love Island contestants died by suicide after being on the show? Vanity Fair even wrote an article on how social media pressure on these stars is intense and contributes to the suicides. And then normal people, non-celebrities, Simone Burns died by suicide after a clip of her yelling at a flight attendant went viral. I know some of them did awful things, and remember that some of them didn't. But is this really the world you want to live in? Is this how we want to deal with people we don't like? One big potential counter-argument that I want to talk about is that the point that I'm making, that you can't just be an asshole because you're a victim, some might say that that idea could be used to invalidate basically any protest. But that criticism of my essay only works if you truly believe that sending death threats to a porn star is making the world a better place, which is a disconnect from reality. Violent, nasty protest has its place, but cancel culture nowadays is almost always bullying someone who is powerless and is already sorry for what they did out of an emotional desire to hurt somebody, rather than a desire for change. On the other side, if you're sending death threats to a greedy politician like Mitch McConnell or Nancy Pelosi, I actually don't think you can ever become the asshole of the situation, because you're never going to come even close to outweighing how many people's lives that they've ruined and how much money that they've stolen from the American people. But with a niche celebrity, not only are you way outweighing the harm that they caused, but you can probably just discuss the problem with them. There's a clear, better option. I know it's hard to have perspective when you're upset, but you can't just bully people when there are better options. And August Ames did immediately apologize. I will add that in my opinion, she didn't have to apologize at all, because it's her choice who she wants to have sex with, even if it is for a homophobic reason. At the end of the day, it's very creepy to get mad that a woman doesn't want to fuck you. So no, saying that my essay is tone policing or is telling minorities that they can't fight against their own oppression is not a valid criticism of my point and is not a valid defense of cancel culture. The scale of an issue matters a lot and changes what's appropriate. You have to have perspective even when you're mad. And also, you have to try the good options first. It's an immediately intuitive idea, but people seem to forget it. A lot of us are ignoring the fact that people who don't deserve to die for what they did are committing suicide because they're being told to. It's not a form of protest. It's unacceptable. Two more things worth adding. One, gay porn and straight porn have very different standards for STD testing. So August Ames' tweet, it's not a great tweet either way, but as always, it's not as black and white as people made it out to be. And to make things even more gray, August Ames actually identified as bisexual herself. So I think it's more likely that her tweet was just coming from her being misinformed. Someone probably could have made a video explaining it to her, and it probably would have achieved something good for everybody. August Ames' birth name was Mercedes Grabowski. Grabowski was a victim of childhood sexual abuse, and she was taken advantage of by a predatory porn industry with non-existent standards for consent, including in a scene soon before her death that she said felt like rape. Grabowski had an allegedly controlling husband 20 years older than her, and she had bipolar disorder. Grabowski was already trying to seek help from therapists who were too stubborn to help her because she was a sex worker, and Grabowski believed that everybody hated her. Her death had many complicated and tragic factors. Rest in peace, August Ames.